Hi, everybody. It's Andrew Mitchem here at the Forex Trading Coach. I'm really pleased to be joined today by Rimantas Petrauskas, who's over in Lithuania. Rimantas, lovely to see you.
Nice to be there. Thanks, Andrew, for having me there.
Awesome. I think what'll be really cool if we can give everybody the next half an hour or so, depending on how long we spend, just talking a little bit about us, how we got into trading, difficulties of trading, breakthroughs, secrets that we've found, things that we're looking at doing into the future, some pitfalls that people may have, the common issues that people fall into, and then to show everybody a little bit about us as people and what we do with our, friends, family, hobbies, etc. It'd be really cool if we can do that, because I think we've both got a very similar kind of story, different topics and different hobbies, but kind of similar in a way on different sides of the planet. So
Nice.
tell us about yourself. Where are you based, and family background, etc.
Yeah, so I just mute the phone. It's just buzzing there. So I am from Lithuania,
Yes.
a small country in Europe. A lot of people don't even heard about it. Like when I travel to US or somewhere further from Europe, a lot of people don't, even heard like, where is it? And I'm like, oh, it's next to Poland, this small country. So always have to do some background story about Lithuania. So yeah, I'm born and raised here all my life. I love living there. Lifestyle, taxes low, all that stuff. And you can pretty much travel anywhere you want, especially with the freedom that your own business and trading can give you.
Yes.
So that's what I love about it. And yeah, my story began, I would always say 15, 16 years ago. The saying where there's this famous saying. They say, you get you get two lives. Like the first one when you're born, and the second one when you realize that there's not, the time is not unlimited.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's when you start living. So I remember in like 2009, I went through a lot of transformations. I lost 30 kilograms,
Wow.
started exercising, started eating healthy, started learning, developing myself, basically got into self-development, reading a lot of books, courses, starting flying to seminars, and all that stuff, basically.
Mm.
So this been going on ever since, So I always improve myself year after year after year. So I created my own business, got into trading, and this just never stops, And I believe that it's one of the most important things for everybody. It's like, especially those who feel stuck, Those
Mm.
people who feel stuck, there's a reason why you're stuck. And the only way to get unstuck and move forward is to get yourself better every day. There is this Japanese thing called Kaizen. It's like getting better every day by just one step,
That's
1%,
right. Do one thing a day.
Yeah, one thing and we'll have the same 24 hours, which,
That's
eight of
exactly right.
days, eight of those will go to sleeping and other things and your work and like, but everybody of us can find one or a few hours a day that you can work on yourself or your dream or whatever that is, or getting unstuck. So I remember when I started doing that, I just couldn't stop.
Mm.
So so now, whatever a new day comes, I know I have a limited amount of hours, basically. So I always want to improve myself in one year or another. So that's pretty much what's been going on. And I love seeing in the past years and looking how much I've improved,
Mm.
comparing myself to who I was before. It's like you're not trying to compare yourself with others because you are on your own path, on your own
Yes.
pace, improving. So that's an important part.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so my life lately is like work, travel, trying to enjoy life because that's all we need. Yeah,
Exactly
to
right.
enjoy
That's what we're here
it.
for.
Yes.
That's fascinating. If I compare what you've just said to me on a slightly different timescale, but sort of similar, New Zealand's the same. We say to people on in other parts of the world, I'm from New Zealand, and they go, "Oh, that's nice. Is that near near Australia, or is that in Australia?" And I go, "No, it's a 3.5 4 hour flight away. It's a long, long way away, but people think we're Australia." Um,
Uh-huh.
and the same thing, we're 5 million people. I think you're about 2.5 million people. We're both very small but very nice places, and it's quite interesting that we both have a similar kind of love of our countries, but also we find that when we go overseas, almost nobody knows about our countries.
That's funny, yeah.
We find that. I used to be dairy farming. I suspect you probably might have known that. And I got into
Yeah, I've heard
trading
about it.
through getting divorced. And it was, I had a young son at the time who was about 3, and it's like, what am I going to do? So I started doing the same as you. I went to a lot of those self-development conferences, and to see a lot of people. Got into Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, understanding a lot of those kind of motivational financial um, you know books as well. And I found that really good, and that's how I kind of stumbled into trading. It's How did you find when you got into trading? How did you find back then when it wasn't known particularly well? How did you find people treated you? Did they think you were a bit odd or a bit lazy or something for doing it?
Um, the, there's a funny story of how I discovered trading in the first place. Um, so I was on a 9 to 5 job back then. I remember it was 2007, 2008,
Mm,
sometime around that. And I was just browsing online looking for ways for additional income, you know.
right.
I remember I found this software or website, whatever, and I can't remember the name exactly, but it was something called like Forex Killer or something of that kind, you know.
There was a lot of
And
fat turbos and those type of things back then.
yeah, and it looked like, you know, all very suspicious and stuff, but I don't know why, but it caught my attention because
Mm,
like I'm back then I was like, I don't know what Forex is, but whatever this is it's killing it, you know? It's like you can win like cheats, hacks and stuff like that, you know? And this got my attention. So I got into it, start getting to know more and more about it. And I thought, okay, like it seems I'm gonna be a millionaire by next month, you know,
that's
if
right.
I'm gonna do that. Yeah. So obviously, soon I realized that's not gonna happen that fast. It's not that as simple as it is, you know, especially with that killer whatever software that I
Mm,
found back in the days. But this what got me into it, you know,
yeah.
and I'm a programmer. I've been a programmer since I was 12.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
always loved computers, you know, write code and stuff and tell computer what it should be doing so it's easier for me, whatever. So I was very fast to create some indicators, trading bots for MetaTrader 4 back in the day, and that's where it all started, you know. So eventually, it's not that I become a trader at, you know, at that time, but I became a software developer for traders. So I
Yes.
just started creating apps for others. Like I went on the forums, read what people are looking for. I just messaged them, you know, and hey, who can create this and that app? And I'm like, yeah, I can do it. And I remember my first $200 that I've earned. Like this guy from US sent me $200 to create an indicator. And back at the day, $200 was like have to multiply by the 2.5 to convert to Lithuanian currency that we had at the time. Now we have euro, but
Yes.
back in the time we had litas. So that is pretty a lot of money, you know.
Mm,
And I'm like, okay, if I do this like 5, 6 times a month, I'm pretty much making my salary, you know.
yeah.
So I started starting doing more of that, just coding for others in the evenings. And soon after a few months, I started replacing my 9 to 5. It kind of on my job, I would be working on the indicator, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Nice.
I, and soon, like after a year or two, I started making 2, 3 times my salary from creating software because traders need that stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So um, I wanted to leave my 9 to 5 job. So my boss kind of knew about it and he invited me for a talk and he said, listen, so you're the guy who we can find somebody to replace that fast. You know,
Right.
I was working at the local internet service provider company
Right.
in one of the small towns and I was looking after 12 servers like Linux, Unix stuff, you know, all that text things. And in that small town, there were not many people who can do that, you know.
Mm,
So it took
mm.
him probably a couple of years to actually find somebody to replace me. So he just said to me like, "Okay, you go do your own stuff, whatever you need. We just leave the same, you know, same salary, same everything. You just do remote work, whatever we need." And I just did that. I worked remotely for them
Yes.
so I just, you know, still collecting my salary. There was not much work I had to do for them at the time. I just started my own business, sort of, you know. It was
Wonderful.
more like freelancing. But later, after a few years, sometime around 2014, 15, when I went to my first seminar to US, it was Brendan Bouchard.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, he's fascinating, all that stuff. So you know, I wrote my first book after that seminar. I remember, you know, self-published on Amazon, and it got to number 4 in Forex category. So, so all that stuff, like it was really exciting times. I remember. So I started my kind of selling tools on a subscription basis basically, you know, the software. So all my life, I was first a software developer, basically. That's my
Right.
main business, you know, and I always was very transparent about it, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
because I come from a background of a programmer and I
Yes.
just created all the tools. Over the years, I've learned like what traders want, what they need, you know, and that's where it went. So over the years, I had my success and failures in trading. You know, I would occasionally would go in and out and all the, you know, but lately all this prop firm thing that's
Yes.
going on, I just saw like a really great opportunity. It's like previously with not much capital, you couldn't do much, you know?
That's it.
It's like
Yeah.
if you have your like 5, 10 grand, there's not much you can do in trading basically. That's how I saw it, you know.
Yeah.
Now when you can get funded with these really bigger accounts, that's what I'm after, you know.
Mm.
So I started to be more serious about trading, started build my software around what I need the most, you know? It's like I flipped the switch basically. Previously, I
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
create whatever traders are asking, whatever they need, you know? But now it's like, okay, I think this thing will get me ahead, you know? I think
Mm.
that new feature will give me edge, you know? So I started doing that, and there are a lot of traders that just follow with me, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
software, with these new features and all that thing. So,
Awesome.
so I believe like, you know, that there is this saying like all roads lead to Rome, you know.
Yes.
So that it's like there are a lot of ways to do the same thing, and everybody of us find their own. So I feel like I found my own way of doing that stuff
Yeah.
just the way you have your own and other people
That's
have
right.
their own, you know.
Because
So
I'd imagine the way we trade is probably quite different.
yeah, I do know that, and yeah, I would love to hear more about your style actually.
Yeah. Okay. Definitely. So, um, what I found is that when I started trading, which is now about 22 years ago, roughly, um, I also did I did a course. I went up to Auckland. I did a course. I spent quite a bit of money, went up there. When I look back at it a few years later, the course was terrible. But I can't knock it though, because it got me into trading. A little bit
Yeah,
like that robot was terrible, but got you into trading. And
Yeah.
it got me into the idea. So I can never really knock it, although, it wasn't great. Um, and I then started buying signals from people, and I then started, like you, bought the robots and MetaTrader. I think it was MetaTrader 3 even back then, and then 4, and then TradingView and all these different platforms.
Hmm.
And I really got into that. I always struggled with making it work in real time. I really did struggle. And after a while, I kind of thought, and this took 4 years of developing my own ideas and it not work. And I suddenly thought, do you know what, you've got to make this work. And I'm quite I suppose, focused and determined on something I think I can do. Despite everybody else telling you need to get a real job and it's not working, and you need to, start thinking seriously about going to work.
Yeah.
And that's which is why I asked you that question, because I got that quite a lot from people. And back in the day, the internet was, dial up, and then 1 gig was like a huge monthly plan.
Oh yeah.
Things are obviously vastly different today. Um, so I ended up stripping everything off my charts, like everything. And I went back to thinking, actually, let's look at the right-hand side, and looked at the price, because I figured out that all these lines and dots and arrows and bits all over my chart, I was actually not focused on what the price was doing. And then I
Mhm.
started to learn about candles, and not so much a group of patterns, but individual candles and what they meant. And then it was like, oh, but this one looks the same as this one. One works and one doesn't. Oh, why is that? And so I was realizing, like, round numbers, which I use, like 0 levels and 50 levels. Like, you're buying into a round number and it drops, whereas the next one clears a round number and it carries on. So that's where the price came into things. And then I started understanding Fibonacci levels and retracements and extensions. And I suppose I then built my own system that, through trial and error of what I've had learned up till then, kind of started to work for me. And I found it was consistently working. And the other thing that you remember, back then, everybody was talking about their success or failure in terms of pips. And
Yeah.
everybody always taught pips. And I could never for the life of me understand why a pip was important. Because,
Yeah.
back then, like a US non-farm payrolls, as it was called back then, the monthly employment news, it would
Yeah.
move like, 3, 4, 500 pips in like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And I thought, hang on a minute, but you're making like 500 pips then, and on a really good trade, you might be making 20, 30 pips. It has no relevance. So I started to try and look at money management and really understand working at a percentage risk and a percentage gain.
Mhm.
And that was a big breakthrough as well, to try and understand that. So anyway, put all that together, and I developed something that I could really see and understand. I then started to enter some competitions back in the early days of subscriptions, and I think it was called FX Auto from memory, about 2006, 7, something like that. Anyway, I ended up winning this competition, and that's where it kind of all snowballed from there. And people wrote to me and go, like, I want to subscribe to your signals. And then other people said, look, I love what you're doing, but rather than buying this, I want you to teach me how you do it. And
Mhm.
so I got a guy over in Australia, in Noosa in Australia, who's still a client to this day, back in around 2008, 9. And he said, I'll pay you to fly to Australia for a week and teach me. Come and spend a week with my family and teach me how to do it. And so I rapidly put this course together, took it down to the local printers, got it printed and laminated in color and made it look nice in a folder, and flew over
Uh-huh.
there and taught him. And that's kind of how it all started, completely by accident. And I thought, this is quite cool. People are paying you to teach. But more importantly, what I got out of it is it started to build a community of people. And and as you would know, and anybody watching or listening to this would know, one of the hardest things in trading, I think, is it's quite a lonely business.
Yeah.
It's full of a lot of, like, scams and dodgy people, but
Yeah.
also I think from a trader's point of view, it's potentially quite lonely. And so I really enjoyed getting to know people in person. And then I got asked by a broker to do some training up in Auckland, and I'd go to Auckland here in New Zealand and teach people. And it kind of then sort of built 10 people and then became 100 people and then, 500 people. And it became really kind of personal to build that community of people. We're all trading the same idea, helping each other. And I think that's kind of an undervalued part of trading as an educator. I think that's something that's really important for people to get to be able to talk and communicate. So
That's
that
quite
was
some,
my kind
that
of story and background.
that's quite a story, Andrew. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it, it's
and
it's
it sounds really
it
familiar.
is,
Yeah.
and I think we have remarkably similar backgrounds in slightly different stories, but similar kind of how it worked. What would you say was like a secret or a breakthrough for you with either your trading or your programming that kind of made you go from sort of okay as a trader to like, yeah, I've got this.
Um, it would be difficult to pick one thing,
Mm.
probably. I would say probably a few things that got me, to that breakthrough.
Right.
One of them was definitely the thing you were talking about, pips and percentages.
Yeah.
You know, it's and to me there is even more, like, as a programmer, I had to do pips and points.
Yes.
Because you remember, like, back in the days, there was like a four-digit number for the euro dollar and two-digit number for the um, for yen pairs, yeah. And then they added extra number at the
Yes.
end, and then all those pips became like, you know, with fractional, like you can do like 5.6 pips. So, so for software developers, I remember there were a lot of people coming in, sending me their old indicators and EAs and
Mm.
asked to like convert them to be compatible with that new digit style. But
Yes.
that was a lot of orders I was doing. So um, so all this confusing part, and as fun as it is, like, only this year I'm kind of converting my software from not using pips but to just using points, because it's just easier to people. And a lot of people, especially newcomers into trading, they don't
Mm.
even understand why there's like pip and points and like what's happening there.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so when I started looking at that stuff as percentages, that was one of the things. Another thing that got me as well was looking into the stop loss size, not as in pips, not to have it as fixed size, but to use something dynamic. So usually traders use like, oh, previous swing low or swing high, something like that. So we either use that or we use ATR indicator.
Yep. Yep.
So, and the multiplier of that, this kind of works, quite well. And lately I started looking at, like, to try the parabolic SER,
Yes.
because it's just nicely below and above. It's kind of the same as swing low or swing high, basically.
Yes.
So yeah, that was the thing. And I would say the biggest one for me was all the backtesting and just going by, from data driven perspective on
Right.
the
Yeah.
trading. So the way I look at it, pretty much every trading strategy, if it's not like very discretionary. So it can be coded into an algorithm
Mm.
that can go in history and test to see how it would have performed in the past.
Right.
And while there are a lot of people who, say a lot of things about how backtest is nonsense and whatever, I always go back to saying, like, listen, so many great traders for decades, probably even centuries, been using paper trading. They just call it
Yes.
paper trade.
Yeah.
So they would just like print the charts, and they would like go on paper and look like, what we can do to make this and that. So it's just literally what we're doing, like backtesting. So that's the core of my software. And
Right.
but the thing I learned, it's like, if you go on YouTube, there are so many videos. Oh, watch me backtest this strategy 100 times and it's like 95% win rate, whatever. And
Mhm.
when you look at the video, somehow there is no 95. It was just a clickbait. But you see how that guy is doing backtest manually. He just goes on Trading View and draws, entries and stuff. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? It's like, just code that stuff.
Yeah.
So the way I tried, started doing, like, I would take a very simple idea like a pin bar or
Mm.
bullish, bearish engulfing. Like we had a lot of candlesticks. Like we have probably like 12 plus different candlestick strategies inside the software.
Yes.
So we would take that and we would backtest back to like 50 or 100 trades to have some statistical significance. And then we will look, okay, so if we use like pin bar, so we buy and sell, and we use this size of stop loss and, 2, 3 times take profit based on
Mm.
ATR, for example, how would it look like? And
Yes.
software just tells you like instantly. It draws
Yeah.
everything on the chart, so you don't have to draw it. It shows like very transparent, like every trade it found, and it
Yes.
tells you the stats. And if it shows negative, obviously you would not want to trade that strategy. So
Mm.
then you play around and change the numbers, play the, stop size and things like that. And once I got to the stage where I say, okay, this is nonsense. Like you cannot sit there and just play changing the numbers because there are so many variations. Like
Yeah.
it's just not possible. Even though if I would do that manually, it would take me ages.
Yes.
I can do it fast now, just input numbers, click, and I instantly get the answer. But it's still, there is so much to try. So then I made the software to do what I call optimization
Right.
or now I just started calling strategy scanning or discovery, basically, because that's what it is actually. So it would scan like 5, 6, like 8,000 variations with different stops and different sizes for the body on pin bar,
Mm.
and all that stuff. And it will, after scanning 8,000 variations, we say, look, this is the best one in
Right.
terms of return or return to drawdown ratio or things like that. And then you can get the CSV file, which is like a big one with 8,000 variations, but you can easily filter out things out and you see a dozen of strategies that look with awesome numbers. And
Mm.
then you can go and implement that. So you're kind of trading now something that worked recently for the past 6 months, for example.
Yeah.
So you know that this has been going on. Like we can't know if this will sustain and go on
Yeah.
like this in the future. This definitely doesn't guarantee it, but at least we're doing something that's just worked recently. Not 10 years ago, not 5 years
Yes.
ago, but like recently, right now, over the
Yeah.
recent months. So I think that's important. I always use this analogy that sounds kind of a really cool. It's like when you go to buy used car. You want to ask questions, you want to look under the hood.
Mm.
It's like you want to see the car maintenance history, which is like backtest. So all
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
things. So you don't go and buy just like blindly. So that's pretty much what we're doing with the strategies. And we always monitor and closely look at the metrics. And if certain metrics change in a certain way, we just stop the strategy and then we either re-optimize it or we just go with another one because
Right.
like I understand that a lot of these strategies are short-lived.
Mm.
Give it a few weeks, a few months, and they just stop working basically
Right.
for that period of time. As
Yes.
I see it, like markets shifted, things changed. So that strategy might be a wonderful again in a few months' time, maybe later, but not right now. So just pause it and go with another one.
Yep.
So I realize that's quite a different trading style from a lot of people that I see around.
Mm.
Especially those who are using discretional trading, because in my world, everything is like systematic trading. Like
Yes.
you can
Yes.
put everything into algorithm.
So one of the things that I see with algorithm trading is you still have to, people see it as an easy way out. I'm not saying you, but other people see this as AI expert advisors, whatever it is, an easy way out. But
Absolutely,
to
yeah.
me,
A
you
lot of a
have
lot of
to
people.
still understand trading in order to
Yeah.
understand either one, how to write it, or if you buy one, how to use it properly and when to use it and what to use it on. I think people
There,
don't see that.
there was interesting realization even for me, I remember, because you get so stuck in all that systematic things, and you do
Mm,
realize that it's not something you just put on the chart and it just makes you money. It's not
yes,
that. There will never ever be a software available to everybody who just does that.
that's
I don't
right.
know why people think they can pay 100 or even 5,000 whatever for some like if that robot makes money for not doing anything, people would not be selling it, and
Yes.
that and probably people would be killing for it.
Yeah.
Probably Wall Street will kill you, take it
Yes.
away, and
Yes.
it's a bit of conspiracy theory, yeah, but probably that's how the world works, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems to.
you find you find a cure to cancer, and some things will happen for sure.
Yeah. You
So,
won't. You won't be telling too many people.
yeah. So that's the thing, So what we have is not like you put it on the chart and just make money. You always have to look after it. And I remember this was very nice realization for myself last year when I was speaking with Alex Ong. I don't know if you heard about the guy. It's like he's my dear friend. I met him last year. So and I remember when he introduced me and my software to his people, because
Mm,
he's trading a lot of candlestick patterns as well. So
right.
he said, okay, listen, guys, once you go and look for strategies, with the scanner, just do it this way. You pick a direction.
Mm,
You as a human kind of decide what the
yeah.
direction you should be looking strategies for. And I remember one example he gave me was like, okay, we look at the dollar yen. So for the past year or two or whatever he said, I can't remember exactly, but for the past some time, it's only longs now.
Yes.
So just try switching it to buy only, and just look for a strategy that only buy. And I'm like, okay, let me try this. And I try, and the results on the back test was like 4 or 5 times better than than
Yeah.
looking both directions. And
Yes.
I'm like, oh sure, that's how you have to. So since then I started looking for ways to make this more systematic thing. But you can never take out what's in human brain
That's
and put it
exactly
in.
the
Yeah,
thing,
that's
isn't
the
it?
thing. So
People don't see
so
that.
it's always you as a trader that has to make these decisions.
Yes.
What strategy you're looking for, and what pair, why this pair right now, why not
Mm,
gold, why Nasdaq now? It's like, and when you do that, you also have to realize we also have obviously like the automation stuff. All these strategies that I create, we have the automation module, and they're
mm,
just trading then. I don't have to be there, but I have to be there to look, after them. So if they're making, let's say, 3, 5 trades a week, a strategy.
yes.
So obviously for me, it's enough, like, half an hour a day or even 15 minutes. Sometimes just glance at the chart, see all the numbers, fine. We have one trade running. Okay. And you just leave it. It's
Yeah.
like 30 seconds, basically. Next day you come back and you look again, you see, oh, okay, we had like 2 stops, numbers are not looking quite good. I have to put some work to find maybe new strategy.
Yeah.
If all things go well, it's making money, taking trades, and it's going in your favor. You just do nothing. You just look, and go live your life,
And leave
basically.
it. Yeah.
So yeah. So it's always the trader has to do some of these decisions.
Yes.
And there's a really nice analogy that I always tell about bots, not just trading bots, any bot. Like a lot of people can relate to having a vacuum cleaner robot at home.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like pretty wide worldwide. Like people know what it is. You just have this vacuum cleaner. You go to work, you come back, your floor is clean.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you have a dog or a cat, and if it makes a little doo-doo on the floor, the robot will spread it out
Maybe
across all
everywhere.
the, So I always say like robots are stupid,
Yeah.
all of them,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
With AI, yes, they're getting more advanced and more smart and all that stuff. But in a lot of areas, and I still believe that trading is one of them, AI is just guessing. And if it's guessing based on some backtest and history data and on the numbers and win rate and stuff like that,
Mm.
if it can do that, I would say, okay, it's smart to some degree now, because that's what we're doing as humans and looking at these numbers and making decisions,
Mm. Mm.
So as AI can write and create videos now and images, it's pretty much advanced. But
Yes.
in trading, like you just guess and you either guess on data or
Yeah.
you just guess blindly. So a lot of what we see online now, oh, this trading bot just made me rich, la la la, whatever they're selling, they just want your commissions,
Yeah. Yeah.
for trades you will make, and those will be pretty much random. That's that's pretty much what's going on usually.
Do you find and this might lead nicely into what we do outside of trading? I find that the knowledge up here, because I say to people, there's two things you need to control in trading: one's your head and one's your heart, because trading's emotional.
Absolutely.
It's emotional. You
Yeah.
can't ever get away from that. Even if it's a prop firm and it's not your money, it's still emotion. So, do you find though that having that knowledge of trading up here, regardless of whether you use bots or manual trade, it's so crucial that you have that ability to look at a chart or look at a robot and understand what's happening as a trader, because otherwise, and I have this discussion with somebody I know who's a fund manager, not anything to do with trade, not Forex, shared funds and retirements and pensions and things. And I say to them, that's great. I could hand you all this money. Go do what you want with it. But I don't actually get anything out of that up here. I
Hmm.
don't have any
Yeah.
knowledge. I have nothing to share or to hand on to kids, or I don't feel good about it, because what I love about trading is having that ability to look at a chart, make a decision, whether it's right or wrong in hindsight, in the end, I mean, because we have no hindsight, in real time, make a decision. And if I get that right and I go, that trade did exactly what I looked for it to do based on all these reasons, ABC, that's a massive like thing for me. That feels
Yeah.
really good to have that knowledge and information.
I always say that mindset is one of the first things that people have to master
Yes.
when they go into trading.
Yes.
And it's even if you go trading with bots, it's like it doesn't matter if it's automated, manual, it doesn't matter. This like when you go to trading, I think mindset it comes first. Like you have
Mm.
to have a strong mindset. That actually I'm writing a book on this now. It's already
Okay.
finished. We're editing it now and so I'm really looking forward to release it this summer.
Well, let me
So
know when it's finished.
of course, of course. So I saw that a lot of people come in, they try one, two things, and for a few days, for a few weeks, and they just quit, and then they
Mm.
call it BS, and all the. And I'm like, no, that's not like, if you go to the gym 3 times and it didn't lose
What's your
weight,
outcome?
even you would be laughing at yourself.
Yeah.
It's like because you are expecting to lose weight from 3 times you come to, then people would go start playing basketball. Like, oh, I want to go into basketball. And after 3 matches, 3 times you tried playing basketball, if you couldn't do it or you played poorly, it's your first 3 times. You wouldn't say, oh, basketball is not for me. It's like, this is BS. Like,
Mm.
basketball is a scam,
Yeah. Yes.
And there was an interesting story. I remember I was lying in Miami Beach last year, and I had my day off, and I'm looking at this guy. He was like probably in his 60s or 70s. He just came in, probably some looked like rich guy in his retirement, and he took this. He did like a kite surfing, where you surf with a kite.
Yes.
And it was kind of this the new one, not the kite on a long string, but you have your kite in your arms, So,
Yes. Yes.
and he tried that for like I don't know half an hour. He didn't catch any waves or anything. Like he was struggling. Like you can clearly see he was in early stages trying to to learn it, and so he did his practice for like half an hour or so, probably got tired, packed his bag and then just left. I'm like looking at this and thinking, okay, so you came here, like you didn't catch any waves, no fun,
Mm,
probably if somebody saw you, other people might be even laughing at you. But I'm like, you can't laugh at him. Like he's trying to learn something,
mm,
you know? And he definitely realizes that he will need a lot of hours until he can do this
mm,
really well, like catch the waves and stuff. So why the hell, when people come in trading, they expect after a week or so, or a few videos, or just one course, no matter how good it is, it's like just become professional and start making a lot of money.
yeah.
You know, Nobody expects that in any other field.
Yes.
And I always use sports as an example because everybody can relate to that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you cannot expect to become a professional basketball player in a month.
Yes.
It just doesn't happen. You can get the basics and all that stuff, but then you need a lot of practice and practice and practice. And always say, even I'm a student right now,
Yeah.
and always learning new
Always
stuff
learn.
and
Absolutely.
always learn. Yeah, you have to do that all the time. And you will never be perfect because whenever you feel like, oh, I'm perfect with whatever, markets change now and you have to learn now new stuff.
That's right.
It's like
It
there
bites you
was
in the bum.
yeah, there was no Trump before with his crazy tariffs, and it's like there's always something new
Yeah.
going on
And that's
that
what's
you
good about
have
the
to.
market, isn't it? It's changing. We have to change with it and add things, remove things.
Yeah, and a lot of that comes from mindset,
Yes.
So
Yeah.
always before you start trading any strategy, just ask yourself. So, and it's very easy when you look at the back test. So if you see a back test shows you that back in time in last 6 months, we see that there were 5 consecutive losses in a row.
Mm,
Strategy like producing really nice numbers, but there were at some point 5 consecutive losses. So when 5 consecutive losses happens again for you,
yes.
and for some strange law, it probably will happen now when you just started.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what you gonna do? Like, how will you work with that? And if you risk too much per trade, you will be in trouble. And probably just risk 3% on the trade, and by loss number three, you will quit and call it
Yeah.
BS.
That's right. It
But
doesn't work.
but yeah, but if you risk 0.5% or 0.25%, by loss number five, you will say, okay, five is normal for this type of strategy.
Yeah.
If I get one or two more, then I kind of invalidate it, and okay, I'll get back to the drawing board.
Mm,
But after that five, there is much big chance the strategy will just recover and go on.
that's right.
So that's the thing, and all that is in your mindset.
Correct. And I
So
think
mindset,
would you see we earlier we touched on prop firms and we didn't really talk too much more about it, but obviously it's a big thing right now. I mean, from my point of view as an educator, it's a massive thing, and I'm sure from your point of view it is because
yeah,
it helps people. The issue I have is that people will come to me and go, look, I want to join your course. I like what you do. You've been around for years, good reviews, all the rest of it, but I can't afford it. Or I've got a $5,000 course. I can't justify it to the wife or to someone like
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
And I've always said, look, I fully get that and I respect that, understand it, but I'm teaching you how to do something. Whether you got $5,000 or $5 million, I don't know, and it doesn't really worry me. I'm still teaching you the same thing. And a prop firm has obviously opened up that ability for someone who doesn't or either have funds or want to put their own into it to obviously trade significant funds. The issue, of course, is like we've just touched with everything going on up here, is that
Yeah.
people see it as a quick fix and they see it as an easy way to give up their job, which they hate, or something like that, because they see it
Uh-huh.
as a way of making money without doing that homework and spending 6 months, 12 months on demo, small live account to trade properly first. And I see that all the time, and I'm sure that you must see that as well.
I believe this opened up a big opportunity for people, as you said, of
Yes.
course, all the prop firms. But I do as well understand that it's a lot of people see it as a quick fix.
Yes.
I just kind of confirming what you said. But at the same time, uh, especially last year around February, we saw a lot of prop firms go bankrupt, you
Mm.
know.
Yeah, they
So
disappeared.
yeah, they just disappeared. So we started hearing these stories about this prop firm is scam, that prop firm is scam. Then then we like I'm in some groups on Facebook and I see newbies trading and sharing their experience with prop firms, and pretty much every week at least one post will be something like, oh, this prop firm doesn't pay, it's a scam.
Mm.
So and all that is funny thing to me is like how all this works. It's like previously all these prop firms, they've been there for like ages, yeah.
Mm.
But now they're starting being available to retail traders, like as I say, like people who are on a 9 to 5 job at McDonald's and now they can trade with a prop firm.
Oh,
So these people doesn't have the right mindset to look at it. So they
yes.
will look at it that prop firm, oh, they didn't pay me. Yeah, they didn't pay you because you breached your drawdown limits.
Mm. Mm.
You refuse to believe that, and you rather go online and spread nonsense and bad word about it
Yeah.
instead of actually taking a look at it, understanding that you've made a mistake that you could not do, and prop firms doesn't want you as a trader.
Mm.
Or you open 10 trades of the same kind, they luckily hit the profit target just
Mm.
because of luck, and they don't pay you, and now you're mad, because that's not what they're looking for. They want to filter out good traders and
Yes.
say, and always give this like a really nice how to say that analogy. Yeah, I'm
Yes.
just looking for that number, if you can bear with me for a second.
Sure.
It's like phew, where is it? Give me a second. World record run. So there's this analogy that I give. So
Yes.
so basically there's a world record to run 1 mile. I'm a
Right.
runner, so that's like
Yes.
it's fascinating to me. So there is a guy in the world. Um, I can't pronounce his name, El something. So he holds a world record for fastest mile he run.
Right.
And it was like 3 minutes 43 seconds. So 3 minutes 43 seconds to run a mile. There's one guy on earth who can do that. Now imagine if prop firms would put a drawdown limit, like look at this an analogy, and they would say you have to run a mile in 3:43.
Mm.
Guess how many people can actually pass this challenge and get
That's right.
funded then?
Just him.
Only one
Yeah.
person in the world. Now imagine if they say, oh, you can run a mile in 30 minutes, 29, 30 minutes, everybody would, you know,
Yes.
but can you then further sustain that running and do it well?
Yeah.
Of course
Yes.
not. If you can run a mile in 29 minutes, like you're like the most unfitted person, like So so instead, Profirm said, okay, what if we look for people that can run a mile, let's say in 7 minutes,
Mm. Mm.
and it will be a challenge even for me. It's like 5, 6, 7 minutes, let's say at that range. So if you can run a mile in 6 minutes, there's probably very few people in your town that can actually do that.
They can do that properly, yeah, and
Yeah.
consistently.
Yeah, so that's what prop firms are looking for. Good traders that
Correct.
can demonstrate consistently that they can make money. They don't need to make huge amounts. They don't need to
Yeah.
double accounts. They don't need to make consistently 10% every month because it's not a salary. It doesn't work that way, you
Yes.
know? So when people come to trading and how much money can I make with your software?
Mm.
It's like there are so many questions now before I can answer this.
That's right. How
I
long's a
don't,
piece of
yeah, it's
string?
like, yeah, how suppose I know? It's like, I don't know what's your capital. I don't know. Like, there's so many things.
That's right.
I just can't answer that question. It's like, oh, you're a scammer. You don't know. It's like, you know?
Yeah.
So people are very fast to judge,
And
but
when you
they
give
just don't
people a
have that right
realistic
mindset.
number, a low realistic number, they tell you it's rubbish and I can do bigger somewhere else.
Yeah, yeah. And I would say like, yeah, you can do like 0.5% a month. And it's like, well, I don't want that, you know?
Yeah. I
So
want
yeah,
10% a day.
go somewhere else. Yeah,
That's right.
go somewhere
Exactly.
else. So that's the thing. So the way I look at prop firms, they're looking for really good runners, so to
Yes.
speak, you know? And there are only few in your town. Will you be one of them? And imagine how much time it would take you to train to actually run that mile that fast, you
Yes.
know?
Yes.
So imagine now how much time it will take you and how much effort you have to put in
Mm,
to become a trader worth passing the challenge and trading with a prop firm.
correct.
And all these rules that they have, all these drawdown limits and everything, they are here so they could filter out all these lucky gamblers and you know these kind of people basically because they want good runners.
Absolutely. And I think that that's such a great analogy. I've not heard the running one. I from a personal point of view, you know, there's a number of things that I've learned over the years that I have found difficult, but I wanted to do. And I think wanting to do it is half the battle. And that's the issue I see with prop firms. People say they want to pass a prop firm, but it's like, do you want to do that groundwork, that homework, and really want to do it? As an
Absolutely.
example, I've been playing the guitar for the last 3 years. I've just started to learn to sing this year. I really want to do it. I practice half an hour every single day. I've got my guitar and microphone just sat right here next to me, you know,
Nice.
because I want to do it properly. I get good tuition. Um, 12 years ago, I learned to fly a helicopter. You know, and same thing. Obviously, with that, if you can't, it's one of those things that not many people can do because it's so difficult, and you have to put a huge amount of hours in. It's not just flying it; it's all the other stuff. It's the bookwork, the law, the how your body works, the maps, the clouds, the the navigation, the mechanics of it. All that goes into
Yeah.
it before you even start a turbine or a piston engine. There's so much more to it, and that hundreds and hundreds of hours that go into something like that. And once you pass your license, you're then starting to learn. And trading's the same, isn't it? Like we said earlier, we're constantly learning, constantly developing and adapting. And I think I have that fear that with trading, because online it's made to look so easy, that most people fail to understand that this, whether it's again whether it's manual trading or whether it's automated trading, so much time and dedication and that desire to want to do it is missing from so many people. They see a quick fix, or I get the email, they go, I've got $500, but I want to quit my job and make $5,000 a week. It's like, how on earth do you think that's going to ever happen?
Yeah. And I've heard people
Look at
doing
what
that.
you've just written.
They quit the job and it's like, what you gonna do next? Oh, I will gonna learn this Forex thing, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
and they call it Forex thing because it's just very new to them, you know.
that's right.
So
It's like,
it's
do some work.
yeah, yeah.
So let's move on and talk lifestyles, because we've probably gone close on an hour. Um, Both of us have lifestyles that we've created that probably a number of years ago we didn't have, and trading in both of our cases has helped. We work around our trading, and I think we both love life and do things because we're motivated hard workers. let's everybody know, about your running and your what's developed in your life out of that, family, etc.
Yeah. I will begin with saying how I admire you learning to sing and the guitar and everything.
Yeah, I
You
love it.
know,
It's great. Thank you.
I remember when I was in high school, I really dreamed about becoming a singer,
Mm,
and I even wrote songs back then. Probably have like 10 or 12 songs written,
awesome.
like yeah, in backs. But I never was a good singer. I tried to be, but I didn't put enough effort into that.
Yeah.
And I quit it when I started, working, college, and all the things. I
Yes.
stopped it, and always look at this as a good example of what you just said. It's like you really have to want it. You
Mm,
know, probably I didn't want bad enough.
yeah, that's
You
right.
know, yeah. So, yeah, the lifestyle. I built something for myself that always wanted a lifestyle like this, and I'm still building it.
Yes. Yep.
So always wanted to travel the world, and always wanted to be the guy with a laptop who can go anywhere and just do the work. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm pretty much traveling almost every month.
Right.
It's like last month I just got back from Greece. April I was in Miami. March didn't travel anywhere. February I was in California, Arizona, Utah, like traveled there a bit.
Very nice.
So yeah, so this month, like the Saturday, I'm going
You're
to
off to
Italy for
Switzerland.
like five five day. I love Italy. I love hiking in the mountains and stuff like that.
Beautiful.
So that's the lifestyle I built for myself, because there are so many places in the world where I would like to travel and experience it and see different cultures
Mm,
and be in different mountains, do different runs, and and if you have just like 2 weeks of vacation every year, which
mm.
most people that's what they have, it's pretty much very difficult to do that. And I was that guy before, and I would get my 2 weeks of vacation, and I would usually go somewhere where you want to just relax, because that's all we have, like two
Yeah.
vacations to relax. So basically, now I'm building it this way that I could work and travel,
Hmm.
and my trading and my software business allows me to do that. So that's really nice. Um, Apart from that, I see myself just pretty much doing sports, running. I really love hiking,
Mm.
and doing hiking outside of the country is the best hikes you can find. Europe and pretty much everywhere where you see the mountains.
Have you been
I
to New
love.
Zealand?
No, I haven't. I
We've
haven't.
got mountains
And I still
just out the window.
yeah, I can imagine. And I still remember your invitation. So
It's still
I'm
here.
but I'm building myself towards that. I really need to go that far. But yeah, I really need to plan for it actually. So, it's like being in Europe, it's easy. There
That's right.
we have everything there, and it's just like 2-3 hours away.
Yes.
So it's like a no-brainer to book a flight for like 5-7 days to go somewhere, in the mountains.
Well, I was just
For
looking at the map behind me. I don't know if you can see it if I move the right way. New Zealand's not even on that map.
oh yeah.
I was when we were talking earlier, I was going, I can see where you are up there, but where am I? I'm not even on there.
A trader from New Zealand doesn't even show
It's
New
not
Zealand
even
on the
on there.
map. Yeah, that's funny.
But
That's
no,
funny.
we have some lovely mountains and some great outdoor tramps, or we call them here, tramping or hiking. Yeah, so you'd be very welcome to come over here. So what's the hiking done for you? Like, obviously, we both love the outdoors. We're on 11 acres here. We grow as much food as we can of our own. I've got my chickens, and we try to
Uh,
grow everything, cook our own food. Um, from the health point of view and the enjoyment and the fitness point of view. grounding, being outside. These glasses, like I said to you earlier, I don't need them. They're not glasses. They're for blue light, for screens and things. So all those type of things, the health things, I'm a bit older than you, to me become really, really important, because obviously stood looking at a chart or a screen, or like you with coding, we've got to have that balance and that blend between getting outside, getting in the dirt, going running, flying, whatever it might be. Really important, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And when you look at it, the way I look at hiking and all my trail runs, you know, like I love running long distances. Not that I do that very often, you
Yes.
know, but I would try to escape at least once a year somewhere where I can do one of my crazy runs, what I would
Nice.
say something like 50 kilometers and more, you know.
Impressive.
It's like when you run in one go. And we've done some pretty interesting runs with my friend. You know, I have one crazy friend that can run for like his record is 100 miles in one go, you know.
Wow.
He's that crazy, yeah.
What would roughly
So
would that take to do? Like length of time, roughly, how long would that be?
I think it took him like 26 hours maybe. I can't remember
Just the
exactly,
whole
but
endurance
yeah, yeah. And they did
running.
that in Finland during the time where there's always a day, kind
Yes.
of, you
Yeah.
know, that, yeah,
Yeah.
so they did that. I think they slept for like half an hour maybe or something. Yeah, it was
Wow.
nuts. Like he said, like never ever, but you know, he wanted to try
But he's done
himself.
it, ticked it
So
off the list.
yeah, so I'm not crazy like him yet, but I will always find myself challenging for, you know, for these things. So the craziest run we did with him was that we run across Lithuania from top to bottom. That was
Oh.
500 kilometers, and
Mm,
we did that in 9 days. So that's what's pretty much like there were days like 50 to 70 kilometers we would be running, you know. It's pretty much all day you run, and you get some rest, you run again. And this
that's why I
what
fly.
gives me,
That's why I fly a
yeah.
helicopter. I'll just fly it.
But all this, like imagine again, like you need like strong legs and you know
Yeah.
all the endurance and everything,
Endurance would be
but you
huge.
also need this, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
mindset. That's
Absolutely.
like because a lot of times the mind will tell you stop now, it's enough,
Yes.
but actually it's just, you know, it's just lying to you. You can
Yeah.
go way further than that.
Yeah.
That you know, and I believe that's an important part for me building that mindset to be stronger and stronger because we need a strong mindset in trading as well
Correct.
and in
Correct.
life in general, you know.
Absolutely.
So obviously there are many ways to improve your mindset and but that's one way of how I'm doing it, you know.
Yes. I did
So
karate for about 10 years, probably 10, maybe a bit more, put all my kids through it. And some of the gradings that you do when
uh-huh.
you're absolutely completely shattered, the grading to get your belt when you start getting into the high grades and when you're in a sensei teacher level, they know you can do it. They know you're good enough. Otherwise, they wouldn't put you through for the grading. What they
Yeah.
want to see is how much can you go through that pain? How much do you really, really want it? Rather than going, oh, I'm giving up. It's too hard.
Uh-huh.
And like you said, if you're doing these, tournaments or, whether it's exercises, whatever it might be, and they go just stick at it, and you take your head and your mind off somewhere else, and all of a sudden you've done another 100 of them, or push-ups, or whatever it might be, that you thought 100 ago I was completely dead and I can't do this. So you can do it. Like you said, it's up here. How much do you want
Yeah,
to get through that pain?
absolutely.
Take yourself somewhere else in the mind.
And it's the same in trading, like whatever you get stuck because you just lost, you know, I don't know, 5, 7 trades in a row, whatever.
Mm,
Just just think about it like this mindset thing, if you have strong mindset enough, you will not quit it, you know?
yes.
It's okay to pause. It's okay to call it a failure today.
Mm,
You can get back tomorrow or day after, you know?
yes.
And look at it with fresh new look and just don't get too emotional, you know? So you need a strong mindset in
Correct.
that because
Yeah.
there will be bad days, bad months, and So that's the thing. If somebody buys a car, they would probably never expect to not have a scratch on a car that somebody will bump with the doors, or
Yes.
even they get into a small accident somewhere and scratch a car or whatever. Like it would be silly to not expect it, you
Mm.
know, because it just happens every day. So if you go into trading and you expect to never have a losing week or losing month, that's just like it doesn't sound right. Yeah.
Yeah,
There
that's
will
right.
be these things. So you have to build your mindset the right way to be able to live through that, basically. To
Yeah,
not quit too soon.
absolutely. That's fascinating. And like just I think from a practical point of view, and summarizing that, one of the things I always stress, especially when people are on prop firms, is make sure your risk is very, very low per trade. I think that's
Yeah.
huge because, like you said, you can have several trades all getting stopped out in a row. It's not going to wipe you out. It also means that if you have trades that are high reward to risk, within a couple of trades, you're back to break even and back into positive territory. And it's having that confidence in that strategy, in that system, and getting that money management right that all become key that I believe to a trader's success. It's like the whole thing that we talk about, whether it's running or karate or whatever it is, they all blend
Yeah.
in. They're all the same, aren't they? Trading's just
Yeah.
another one of those things.
Imagine if you try to run a mile and break a record, even your personal record. Let's
Yes.
say it is like, I don't know, let's say it's 7 minutes, yeah, and you're trying to break a personal record. So imagine how many times you'll have to do it and actually train hard to break your personal record. And
Yes.
every time you try it and you fail, just think of it like a lost trade, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
You just lost the trade. You just lost it, and you might try 10 times, you might try 15 times, but eventually you'll break it,
Yes.
your personal record. And then when you look at it this way, you realize if you risk small enough on every trade that
Mm.
it allows you to survive, I don't know, it's like 20 trades, like
Yes.
in a row,
Yeah.
you're still in the game.
That's
From
right.
that kind of perspective, when you look at it, it doesn't hurt you emotionally too much if you hit a stop loss again and again.
Mm.
If I always say, like, if you just hit a stop loss and it hurts you emotionally or
Yeah.
even physically, so it means you were risking too much
Correct.
on that trade. Otherwise, it wouldn't,
Doesn't matter.
like I yeah, I was given an example the other day, and it says, like, okay, so you want to get into prop trading, just go and buy an account. $90, like FTMO, whatever, like
Mm.
$90. Yeah, the small is like 10K. And people will be like, oh, I'm not ready. I don't know this. I don't know that. And it's like, yeah, that's like people imagine when they start running. They don't know nothing about running other than like they were running as they were kids. So
Yes.
you know how to place trades. You click buy and sell, yeah? And you're like, yeah, so that's pretty much the same as a kid knowing how to run. You just run. So if you
Mm.
want to start running and training for a marathon now, so what do you do? Like you just buy your running shoes for longer distances and you go running. Maybe you'll run 2 kilometers, maybe five, I don't know, but you just start and you run, and then you will fail to run a marathon for probably 1,000 times until you actually can do it.
Mm.
Because your first run will be 1 or 2 kilometers. You will suck, it will be slow. But that's the thing. So you buy your first challenge account and you go try, and it will be very not perfect. You will blow it, you will make mistakes, but you will get yourself in the game and you'll start trading.
Building
But then,
knowledge.
yeah, but then you apply that one knowledge to risk very small amount, and you can start playing with something like $25 a trade.
Yes.
So you basically, in in reality, you're risking your $90 in reality that you
Yes.
actually paid for the prop. And inside the prop account you're risking 25, which is not actually even real money.
Mm.
So how can this hurt you? you know
Yes. Yes.
so if you're failing trade after trade and this hurts you because you're failing, not because of the amount, it means you're getting too emotional. You need a stronger mindset. So you have to do something about it now. So you have to improve and look at this and that. But that's what gets you stubborn and go out there and look for solutions and improve yourself and learn more and more. So I believe that's probably one of the best ways to get into the field, isn't it? Like
Absolutely.
you just start knowing that you're not perfect,
Yes,
and knowing that the first few tries will not be good, you know?
that's
So
right. But
but that's how you start.
you're accumulating knowledge.
Yes.
Hey, Rimantas, I think we should probably call it a day there. We've been going for, we said maybe half an hour. I think we're probably about an hour and 15 or 20. We could talk for hours. Hey,
I feel the same.
how can people find you? How can people contact you? Obviously, I can put a link here somewhere as well, but what's the best way for people to get hold of you?
We have multiple websites, but probably the two most popular, that's the FXMagnetic.com
Yes,
or mt4copper.com.
yes, nice, awesome. Thank you. Hey, look, anything you want to add, or we've covered a fair bit, obviously.
Uh, I would say like we probably covered
We've covered
like,
lots.
yeah,
We could go
nothing
for
comes to
another
mind
hour and a
now.
half and do another one day. Hey, look, I just want, it's been an absolute pleasure to finally get, face to face with you. We need to do it in person one day. I'd really, really enjoy that. And thank you so much for your time today. Fascinating insights into your thoughts and mindset and everything you do. Congratulations on everything that you've achieved in the industry.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, Andrew. Thanks for having me there. Thanks for the invitation and for everything you do for traders as well.
Awesome. Take care. Have a great day over there.
You too.